Friday, September 19th, 4:46 p.m. New York time. Welcome back, investors, to Winning Wall Street's Money. It's the end of the week. The stock market's closed. We are now past the halfway point of the month, and we have big events occurring this month. Congress must pass balanced budget, or they shut down several federal agencies. We also made all-time new high in several stock indexes. This is the S&P 500, the cash index. Look at the top right, all-time new high. Outstanding. Now there's a gap here. It was tested, but it hasn't been filled yet. That's a big concern. I'm going to adjust this to the new high now. Looking here, we can see it made a higher high, higher low. So again, the trend is still in contact. The trend is still momentum to the upside. Let's go on to the next stock index, the NASDAQ 100. It made an all-time new high. Gap there. It has not been tested and certainly not filled. So this past week, higher high, higher low. The trend is still, the momentum is still to the upside. Let's fix this. This index is part of the S&P 500. Yep. It represents 100 companies within the S&P 500. Now we're on the Dow Jones. It also is part of the S&P 500. It represents 30 companies. It also made an all-time new high. Made a higher high, higher low. Just as the same. The trend is up. The momentum is up. Let's adjust this. The Dow Utilities. It's also part of the S&P 500, and it has 20 companies in it. It did not make all-time high. It's below the high of last year, and below the high of 2021. The Dow Transport, very important sector. This is a nation that is consumption-based. For the week, it closed red, but made a higher high, higher low than the prior week. A little body in there, a little dodgy candle. Very concerning. Dodgies mean one of two things, indecision or halfway point. Again, the gap here has not been filled yet. And the Dow Utilities, it's part of the S&P 500. It's got 15 companies in it. Nope, it's not at the high of the year. Here's the low of this year. Here's the high of this year. It closed red for the week. Did make a higher high, higher low, but closed deeply inside the prior weekly candle. Big difference than the top three indexes. This is the Russell 2000, 2,000 smaller companies in value. They are not part of the S&P 500. So what happened was this week, it took a long time. We broke above the high of last year. Yep, it was underperforming big time. So a new high for the year. And we could take this away because it took out the high of last year. And closed green, higher high, higher low. Trending up still. Let's adjust this. There we go. Suggested. This past week, the Federal Reserve met on Wednesday. They voted and they lowered overnight lending by 1/4. The companies inside this index are much more affected by interest rates. So higher interest rates has a bigger impact on this index. It's another reason it's improving because they borrow a lot of money and they pay their income, their gains, their profits, not even profits, gain income towards the interest on their loans, reduces their profits. First, the other companies, many of the other big indexes, have a lot of cash where they don't have to borrow money from banks. But some of them sell bonds, and some of them are callable bonds. Big divergencies here, right? Some of them all-time new highs, some of them trending down. Well, this Dow Transport Index, one of the companies in there is called Federal Express, FedEx. The other is called UPS. One of them had earnings. Let's go take a look at that, compare it with the index. So on the right, 5-year weekly, the Dow Transports, already mentioned. Look, we're way below the highs of these prior years. And I mentioned the week closed red. So Federal Express is even worse performing than the index. Again, they're both way below the highs of the prior years. But at least the Dow Jones Transport Index is making a staircase pattern higher high, back to the highs of the year, or Federal Express, huge consolidation here. It's way below the highs there. Let's do a Fibonacci tool and see where we are from the high of the year to the low. Yep. Just shy of the 0.618. So again, it's really weak still. There. That's one. The other company I mentioned, again, they had earnings. Federal Express had earnings. They were released last night or this morning. I posted it on my Patreon page. Now let's look at UPS, because I showed a few case studies about this past weeks. UPS. Same thing, 5-year chart. Big difference, right? Huge. The momentum is down. The trend has been down. It's even worse than the other one I just showed you, Federal Express. Also, this past week, or sorry, last week was the low of the year. So let's update this. There we go. Let's open this up. Again, last week was the low of the year. This week, made a higher high, higher low. But still close red. There's earnings. Going to be on the next month, the 28th, before the market opens. UPS. Let's go put this on a longer duration. See if there's something on the farther back on the left where it's grinding down. Look at that. All the way back here is a low. Very close. Let's put this on a monthly. There we are on a monthly. Want to clear this off, take away some stuff. Oops. And let's take away the there you go. So again, this is a monthly. And here's a swing low from 2020. 2020, look at that swing low. So you notice these past 2 months, again, the current one's not done, smaller trading ranges versus big impulse move down. And this, so let's put this same drawing, but put out a weekly. And let's go to longer duration. $15. There we go. So the low here was $82. We'll double check. The low was $82 here. Last week low here was $82. So it tested it. It tested it and buyers stepped in. So if you're confident and want to speculate, if you're confident bullish, and want to speculate, this is a trade idea. It's a bullish trade idea if you want to speculate it. Let's go put it on daily drawings. There we go on the daily. There's a swing point. Oh, actually, I want to put the volume back here. There we go. Here's the low of the year on that daily chart. I'm going to remove this. That trend line there. So that was a swing low. Huge consolidation over here. And that fast move off. It's fast sell off on big volume. And then a reversal. Let's remove that. Yep. Right here. Huge volume today. Put this on 30-minute. So again, last night, Federal Express, I recall, did earnings. And again, UPS, FedEx, both in the same index. They both ran up huge overnight. This was extended hours. And then regular trading hours today, dumped. Yep, it's a pump and dump. And today, look at that last volume right here, after hours. Again, market closed at 4 p.m. Do you have extended hours where you could trade? Huge volume. Huge volume down here. Not a big spike up. That's suspicious. Let's put it on a 15-minute. Yep, let's put it on a 5-minute. Suspicious meaning that it's less likely bullish. Yep, put that on 1 minute. Huge volume. Yep, nothing impressive there. And put it back on the 30-minute. And just compare it with the Federal Express. There we go. Federal Express. Again, huge volume here. Just want to leave it at that. Let you speculate. These are the futures. Thank you as always. Spend just a little time with me. That's it for the video. Thank you for watching.